Hi creatives, welcome back to my design studio where today we're going to be making a very whimsical but adorable ghost wreath. I had posted this on social media earlier this week on Facebook and asked how many of you would like to see a tutorial involving a ghost wreath attachment, I guess is the formal term for them. So a lot of you said yes, you definitely want to make sure that you're able to see that, and I am looking at doing this in the most cost-effective way possible. So some of you might argue, well, why aren't you doing it this way or why aren't you doing it that way? I'm just showing you that there are different alternative ways of creating a one-of-a-kind, truly incredible wreath without breaking your budget from a wreath maker's perspective. So if you are joining me for the first time, this is your very first live, I want to welcome you. I'd love to know where you're from. I'm up here in Washington, so I don't know if I have any fellow Washingtonians, is that right? Washingtonians watching, but welcome for those of you that are seeing this for the very first time. Also, if you would love to know when I go live, which is usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, at different time frames. It's usually Tuesdays at 4 and then Thursdays at 11. This Thursday we have a little bit of a shift in the time frame, and I'm still working on adjusting that. So you want to make sure, how do you get notified, right? You want to make sure that on my Facebook page that you are following the page and you're liking the page. And I know that sometimes that can be difficult to find. Like we can find where to like the page. But right next to the like button is 3 little dots. Clicking on those 3 little dots will open that menu option open, and then you can click follow this page. That way, if you happen to be on your device, when I go live, you'll be notified that, hey, Kats Creations is now live, and you can join me in a live tutorial. YouTube's groups are a little bit different because these are replays of a Facebook Live. So if you'd love to join on a Facebook Live, hop on over to Kats Creations Wreath on Facebook and you can join me there on those Tuesdays and Thursdays. However, in order for you guys to get notified when I have a new video available, just subscribe by clicking the bell in the upper right hand corner on YouTube. And for those of you on Facebook who don't know I have a YouTube page, I'm over there at Kats Creations Wreath as well. So if you like this tutorial and want to save it, the best way to do it is to click the share button. The share button will take this tutorial and it'll put it on your Facebook page, and you'll have it there when you're ready to put yours together. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pivot you down so you can see what we're working on today. I'm super excited to show this design. I love making these every single year. So let me just make sure our camera is straight and so you can see all the measurements. So as you can tell, we're doing Halloween theme. So I have black, orange, and white, even though in this color palette, we're doing lime green, and we are also introducing a little touch of green, like a lime green and a purple, sorry is what I meant to say. However, most of the time our pipe cleaners don't come in those colors, so we're sticking with the traditional colors on a 14-inch Dollar Tree Wreath Frame. I've done the first 5 sections for you. So this one is ready to go for this. Hi, Amy, welcome, and Teresa and Beth. Cheryl, thank you for joining us all the way in Canada. Love having you here. Let me go ahead and post my website there for you guys. So give me just 1 second so I can make sure that's up. I wish it did it automatically, but it doesn't. There we go. Let me pin that so you guys always have that available. So KatsCreationsNMore is where you can find out more information on my private group, free tutorials, bow recipes, and all the stuff. And this will be available for sale on that later today once I get all the photos and get everything listed, because I don't really know what we're going to do until we put it all together. So first 5 sections are done. We're going to go ahead and do this last section, which is exactly how I did the other 5. I'm just going to take a pipe cleaner using my welds. Just go right in between, like find a midway point, and I'm going to wire together the 2 inside rings, just like this. Okay, Then on the outside, I'm going to take another pipe cleaner and find a midway point between the weld and that first pipe cleaner. And it doesn't have to be exact, just a close ballpark. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side, a little ways down. And I'm wiring together the two outsides. Okay, this will give us 6 on the inside, 12 on the outside, grand total of 18, and I'm not using the inside 6. We have a lot going on in the center. We have a sign, we have our plush ghost. So this is basically going to be laying down a really nice base for our ghost to sit on. And then we're going to elevate the colors through ribbons and I think scatters and fillers all the way around the outside of the wreath. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me show you the sign. Here's the sign. So this is a boo with a ghost, super adorable. Jane's Front Door Decor. You can find her on Etsy. So if you like the sign, it's a 6x12 aluminum sign. And this is what's going to be the centerpiece of our ghost. And I think you'll like how he's put together. And you can do this a wide variety of ways. You can put him on a swag. You can put him on a garland. You can even take 2 candy cane frames, put those together, zip tie them together to create a swag, which we're going to be doing into next month. I'll show you how to put that together so that you have options in the event that you kind of want to keep things on your end a little on the budget conscious side and not go crazy. So I'm going to use a black snowball mesh. Or snowdrift mesh, I should say. Snowball mesh, the difference between that and a snowdrift is the snowdrift mesh has a consistent line of that chenille white cotton going all the way through. If it was a snowball mesh, you would have these little balls here and there. You'd still have a straight line, but you would see like noticeable balls forming all the way through. So again, to keep things very cost effective, using 1 roll of Deco mesh. If you cut 18 pieces at 20 inches, you will use 1 entire roll of Deco mesh and you won't need to use anything else. Now, if you want to pop and elevate the colors, then obviously, you know, you could do that. This is also a great design if you have a lot of leftover mesh because you can pick those colors. So I'm taking the finished edges. I'm placing this to the center of my wreath design. And like I said, I always start with the inside one. I don't know why. That's how I have developed my own little thing. I'm going to go ahead and remove my pipe cleaner. Going to tuck the remaining end down. And then I'm just going to kind of flare this out. It kind of starts to resemble a little bit of a pancake wreath. And again, you could do this pancake style, but you wouldn't have enough mesh to make it feel like there's some, I don't know, value there. Because once you lay this to the outside, it's going to feel a lot thinner. So I want this to feel full. So we're doing the ruffle method, also known as the bow tie or the scrunch. So I'm just focusing on this center line right here. I'm going to be pulling that towards me the whole way. And I'm going against the curl. And I'm going to lay this one in the very next pipe cleaner that is available, which is my outside right. So when I refer to an outside right, it means in each section, there's a middle, a left, and a right. Just like here, a middle, a left, right? Yeah, a left and a right. So when I say, okay, I'm just putting in piece number, I'm doing the left, that's what I'm referring to, is this piece here. Okay, well, actually I put a right piece in. Then I'm going to move the pipe cleaner to the left so it's out of the way. Hi, Irvina. Hi, Maddie. Hi, Linda. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Beth. She said, just watched your Jesus is the reason for the season. Today is gorgeous. I love that wreath. Very similar to what we did in our private group for the candy cane wreath that I'll show you guys that we did yesterday. Very similar technique. So we're going to go ahead and utilize all these pieces. So I'm going to the very next one. So because this is a left piece in the section, right? This is this piece here. When we laid in our right side piece, we don't have an in-between. Sorry. We don't have an in-between right here. So I'm going to take the outside piece of the right side section and I'm going to overlap it. So what I've done is overlap this. So when I go ahead and take my piece and place it right on top, I have coverage underneath. And then I want to take the ends, just fold the ends down, and then just fluff that out. Move your pipe cleaner to the left. Now we're ready to do the center in that section. So if you guys have any questions at all about this or just anything in general, please let me know. This particular mesh is cut with a rotary cutter because of the natural fibers in that cotton. It doesn't allow our wood burning tool to do that without smoking. So remember, we're moving the inside ones. Tuck that back down. And now because this is the center, I need to take that left side piece and bring that back up over my center. Just like this. Once I get this one done, taking my centerpiece, fluffing it, and then placing that left side piece back over it. Now it's all ready for a right side piece in that section. Hi, Edith. Hi, Leah. Welcome from Missouri. How are you guys dealing with the summer weather? We had rain yesterday. Totally and completely unexpected. Not in the forecast. What a way to start off a Monday, though. I loved it. Cold, rainy, and cloudy all day. Cheryl, the mesh. Great question. This mesh is from Craft Outlet. So it's called a snowdrift mesh. So see, we're coming into that left side section right here where we have our weld. So I'm taking the end, I'm going a little bit above and a little bit below so that it's preparing for that mesh to fall into that section. It is warm in here. I am not used to my studio being quite so warm, but I don't know, would I rather have it cold? Yes, I'd rather have it cold than hot in here. So fold the edges down. See how we have a nice line going in here? This way, when I go to add my ribbon, it's all set up, right, ready for us to go ahead and lay ribbon in. Hi, Karen. Hi, Gail. How are you doing? It's got to be hot down there in Florida. So we're adding our inside center. So see how our pipe cleaners sometimes just interfere? They get in the way. You can push everything to the side and then grab it as you need it. Pushing this back in the center. It's time to get our center resituated. Just making sure that's going under the mesh and not over the mesh. And then realigning our left so that it's on top of that. College prep is a lot. Oh, I can't say that I can relate because I haven't had that glorious opportunity. Both the kids just went straight into work. So I am sure it is a lot of work. How is it? Well, you haven't started yet, right? Alec is still at home. So he hasn't left for college yet. Okay, we're prepping the left. So a little bit above, a little bit below. I need to start bringing my hair clips out. The problem is I bring my hair clips out and I use them and then I take them off inside the house and I forget to bring them back out. So when I'm out here and it gets hot, I can just pull my hair up. I'm super excited because my oldest daughter will be here Thursday. Super excited. Haven't seen her since Christmas. I guess that's the beauty, right? When your kids move away and they come to visit, you get to look forward to their visits. I'm just going to use a good old-fashioned rubber band, although I hate using those. Because trying to pull them out of your hair can be a royal pain, too. Okay, much better. Dorm selection website crashed today, so he couldn't get onto select a room, and he leaves in a month. Ooh, that is a lot to take on. A whole lot. And that's going to be a way different experience for you when he's gone. It's not like when they go to work and then they come back at the end of the day. It's time for the adulting to begin. And I forgot. Look, I forgot my pipe cleaner in the center. I did the left and right. I forgot that one. I would have figured it out eventually. So I'm going to squeeze this one on in, which should be fun. Trying to squeeze in a middle between the two outside pieces. We can do it though. Sometimes you just got to push those to the side. Okay, pushing down. Now we've got to move those two pieces out of the way because we've got to get this underneath the other two. So there's one. There's the other. Let's get that top piece underneath and back underneath that. Okay, ready to rock and roll. Hi, Michelle. Welcome from Pennsylvania. Okay, up and over. And these generally sell out every year because I usually only make one. I think one year I made two and they both sold out. I made one more traditional Halloween colors, and then the other one I elevated to include the purples and the greens. So I was contemplating, did I want to do standard Halloween colors or not? But I liked the introduction of the purples and greens. So that's why we're doing this guy. Back to our center. And then we're removing that because his body's going to take up a big old chunk. Hi, Linda from Minnesota. Glad to have you join us. It's just me. The deer already left. They were just here to eat. Hi, Pam. How are you? So we're just laying down a Deco mesh base. This is a black snowdrift mesh. 18 pieces cut to 20 inches. We'll utilize exactly one roll of mesh. So you guys know me, I'm not a fan of leftovers. That can take up some space in your closet. I used to have 2 shelves filled with, you know, half rolls, third rolls. And sometimes it's just enough, you know, for something you need, like maybe your mesh was cut in the center and you don't have quite enough to finish. But most of the time, you generally don't need it. Okay. Linda asked, hi Charlene, welcome. Linda asked, how are the chickens? I think I have to go check on one of my chickens, but I think one of them went back to being broody again, which means that she sits in the nest all day thinking her unfertilized eggs are going to get fertilized. Keep in mind that the 3 chickens I have are all females. There's no roosters, which means none of their eggs are ever going to be fertilized. So her sitting on nothing most of the time isn't yielding anything. So, and then of course when it's hot, I notice obviously my chickens don't want to lay eggs when it's hot. Sometimes they do, like yesterday was a really good egg production day, except for the one who was broody. So I just have to close off all the areas that she thinks it's cool to sit in all day by putting barriers up in front of her so she can't sit in there. Plus, it's healthier for her because she'll sit in there all day regardless of how hot it gets. But other than that, life is great. Garden is booming. Note to self, start your garden earlier than you anticipate and plant 5 times more than you think you're going to need, because not every seed germinates. Here's our last piece of mesh going in, right inside here. And then that way you have more than enough. But I just made a bumbleberry jam yesterday. Does anyone know what bumbleberry jam is without Googling it? Gail, you're so sweet. She's like, how's your shoulder? I have firmly resolved it's just never going to get better. I went to physical therapy for quite some time and it just wasn't doing anything. So I'm just chalking it up to, hey, I'm getting older. So, let me show you the Ghosty Plush. So he has quite a few attachments here. There's 5. So 2 for his midsection, 1 for the top of his head, 2 for his arms. So this is the way he's going to sit. So there's his top. And then his bottom just has the 2 here. And I'm trying to figure out how far his center section goes. Just right to about here. So those wires that go all the way down are right about here. So you can't really position him too far, but you can kind of see he really stretches the limits of what you can do. So he's going to kind of sit right about there when we go to put it in. So if you look how much space is surrounding him, there is not much on a 14-inch Dollar Tree frame. Right now, the current diameter of this wreath is 24 inches. Granted, once we add some of our ribbon tails to the outside, we'll probably get to 25 if you measure from ribbon end to ribbon end. But from mesh end to mesh end, he's at 24 inches in diameter. And we pull this aside. Do this because there's all of our frays. Let's see how wide the Mesh Ghost measures, or sorry, Plush. Let's see. If we were to measure him from arm to arm, he is 13 inches wide. The top half goes to about 9.5 inches. If we add the top to the bottom, we're right at 19 inches top lengthwise, and then 13 inches wide. And he's probably only about 2 inches full plush. So he's going to go on after we put in all our ribbon tails. And then we'll add our sign. This will not have a bow because there's just way too much going on. So ribbons for this design. is what we are doing. Here's our color combinations. Let me peel the first two off. We are doing this adorable little boo ribbon. This is a 2.5-inch ribbon cut to 14-inch pieces. And then we're going to pair that with, this is a purple, orange, and black. I think they call this squiggles and dots because it's got the little curly Q lines. The 1.5 inch is cut to 19-inch pieces for our half bows. And then we're doing the traditional Halloween ghost colors, black and white plaid on top of a white ghost with the orange boo. Again, 14 inches for the 2.5-inch piece. This is going to be paired with the black and white plaid. Why? Because on the edge of our sign, trying to get that to where you don't see that reflection, we have a black and white plaid. So I'm definitely playing to that on this design. Where did all the ribbons come from? Well, let me look. The boo. Let's see both boos. Let's see where they go. I'm trying to find it. Would help, Kat, if you were on the right page. Both of the ghost ribbons, both of these are from Craft Outlet. The black and white plaid is from Kringle Designs, and this little curlicue is from Craft Outlet. So that's where all of those came from. So we're going to go ahead and lay those in, alternating them all the way around. That's what's going to introduce that purple color into this design. So we take our 2.5-inch ribbon, fold it in half so we can find the center. Then we're going to gather that together. I'm just going to lay that right inside that pipe cleaner. One complete twist, and then fan the edges out. Then I'm going to take the 2.5-inch dovetailed edges together, go up about 2 inches to the top and gather in, lay that on the inside. 3 or 4 twists of your pipe cleaner. You're going to open your loop. You're going to right side your wrong side part of your ribbon tail and flip that out, and then pull your ghost right into the center. This way you can see both. So Mary, the 2.5-inch ribbon is cut to 14 inches. The 1.5 inch is cut to 19 inches. And then I'm going to trim these off. And then we are going to pop those additional colors here with the purple, the lime green, and the orange. The purple color. So these are what's called scatters and fillers. Your pipe cleaners will go through them no problem. They don't come loaded with a hole. So what I do is just put a small little dot of glue on it, press that glued end right onto my pipe cleaner. Do the same for the orange, just like that. Press that right on top. And that is how we are going to embellish that. So these are going to be the colors: the lime green, the orange, and the purple. It's more like a magenta color, let's be honest. Gail, she said it was the best decision I did getting a cortisone shot in my shoulder. You know, for most of the time it doesn't flare. It just aches. It's a really bad ache. And some days it just feels like it just needs to be popped. But I don't know. So there's that. We're going to do our black and white. We're going to pair these two up together. Same thing. Spin. Open. Right side the wrong side. Just flip it over. And then pull your other ribbons through. I am trimming my pipe cleaners down to about 1.5 inches. And then we said we're doing lime green, right? Wherever the lime green one went, he disappeared. So here's our lime green. You can get these right now, I think, at Hobby Lobby. So Hobby Lobby sells these scatters and fillers in this color. So these are the color palette it comes in, like the little cranberry color, the purple, the blue, and the green. And then that's perfect for Halloween. So that's what I'm using to glue those on. And then they also, these are all mixed together, but they sell a Thanksgiving blend, which is the gold, what is it? It's the brown, the orange, and the green. I just threw gold on top of it because it was like, it kind of falls into that category. So that's what I'm using on some of my outside pieces. So you can get both of those at Hobby Lobby now. Keep in mind, what other holidays could you use those for? Because if you're just thinking, well, I'll use them for Christmas, or I'm not really thinking I would use those colors in Christmas, they work for Halloween in those neon color combinations. So I just thought we would incorporate some of the new ghost ribbon in this wreath. And I always love this little squiggle pattern. So, couple twists. Take this down to our 1.5 inches. And we are going purple and then green. I should have done, I had the orange one out of order, so we'll just change that up. We'll get this one right-sided. Right side this one. It's always good to get your ribbons sorted before you put the glue on your little balls, because that glue, while it's setting up, is still hot. Even though I have this on low, it's still warm. Okay, and now we can kind of move our pipe cleaners back in the right places where they should be. Grab our next two. And fan these out. You have your wreath class on Saturday. Which class are you teaching? Are you doing Halloween? Okay, spin it around. And now we're going to do orange and we'll do orange and purple. Oop, almost forgot to cut those down. And purple. And they come in a, I think there's 3 different sizes of the balls. There's big ones, mediums, and then really super small ones. So sometimes for fun, it's great if you can, you know, alternate the sizes as you work your way around. Scrunch. So this is another wreath that would be perfect for those of you that are still struggling with how to make a bow, because you don't need to put a bow on this one. Between the ghost, all the ribbons, the scatters and fillers, you're pretty much at covering all of your real estate. So I like finding ways, because everyone's like, well, what if I can't make bows yet? You know, how am I going to make wreaths? And so this is one of those methods that you can put together a stunning wreath, and you don't need to know how to make a bow yet. So we're going to do our green and our orange. And so these are bringing in the other colors that are present on the sign. Sometimes I like to prep these and just be like, hey, they're little open arms. Fill them with ribbon. Cheryl says, I've had several cortisone shots in my shoulder. Unfortunately, I have osteoarthritis in my shoulder and right side of my neck. I had that in my hips because the doctors diagnosed me with bursitis in my hips. But honestly, a long time ago, I had a bone scan, and doctors told me that my bone density was not very good and that I would probably have issues to deal with later in life because of that. And so I remembered that when I threw that at the doctors, they were like, no, you don't have it. So I am just finding new coping methods, right, to cope with pain. Take lots of breaks, do some stretching so that you put those muscles you may not have been using back into shape. We're doing great. Oh, the B one. Okay, Christmas is next October. So you're doing Christmas in October. That's good. Your B one will do really, really well. I love all the different colors and the patterns and the ribbon. And you know what's so funny, Cheryl, is that squiggle ribbon is on clearance at Craft Outlet, so they're not going to be carrying it anymore. And I think it's like less than $4 a roll, if they have any left. So if you guys go to look for it and it's gone, that would be the reason why. I think they've had it for like the last 3 years. I love it. It's just a fun way. And I have this in red, white, and green like this too. And that's fun to put on like an elf wreath. Or like just something that's like a cute kids pattern. I just like the look. Okay, I'm remembering what I just told you. Fluff the ribbon, cat, before you glue the little balls on the end. So get everything all situated first. And we're going to do orange. And then purple. There's that. And they go on super easy, like 2 pipe cleaners. So here's an example. Here's this one. We'll put it through the green. It just goes right in. So it's not very hard at all. We're doing purple. So that's why I just put the dot on first, so the glue is already there, rather than push them on, take them off, glue, you know, put the glue on the dot. It's just one less step that you have to do. Okay, we're getting there. Here's our ghost. Squish in. one complete twist for the bottom. Make sure I get that fanned out in its entirety. And then we're doing that plaid. Snip. Open it. Right side it. And then we're doing green and orange. This also saves the step because normally I just put them on. Ooh. And then I have to go back in, take them all out, re-glue them all back on. So one of the tips that I have learned when building your wreath is finish it. So if there's any like cleanup you have to do on the back, like if you're adding an attachment, if you're adding a sign and you've got that excess wire or pipe cleaner to deal with, trim everything off so it's technically ready to go when it sells. Then you don't have to come back and be like, oh, I totally forgot to glue all the little styrofoam balls on. Now I have to wait to do that. So rule of thumb, finish it all the way through. Do all your cleanup, all your quality control checks. And then you're all set. Open, right side. Trim, trim. Purple, and then green. So see how they just alternate in that color pattern all the way around? Even these are not the same all the way around. Now we're going to do orange. Orange here. Here goes our other one inside. And then we said it's going to be orange and purple for scatters and fillers. So just to reiterate the materials, the Deco mesh is a black snowdrift Deco mesh, which you can get at Craft Outlet. The ribbons, all the little ghost print ribbons are all from Craft Outlet. Same thing with the little squiggle. The black and white plaid is from Kringle Designs. The scatters and fillers that I'm currently using are from two different packs. One is the Thanksgiving color or the fall colors, and the other is a Christmas retro color, and those are both from Hobby Lobby. The ribbons, the 2.5 inches are cut to 14 inch. The 1.5 inches are cut to 19. And we're just showing you how you can put this. Most people generally, if they're doing the wreath attachments, they'll put it on a work frame because those yield a much bigger base. But it also requires you to put more material in it to cover it. So I'm working on a much more budget friendly wreath cost this year. I mean, if I put a lot in it, then obviously there's a lot in it, but if I don't use a lot, like just the difference between the work frame versus the Dollar Tree frame, one is $1.25, the other is $7.99. So when you're looking at things from cost, that's a huge price savings. So now we're going with this and orange. Green first, Cat. Yes, I talk to myself a lot. And we got one more to put in, which is going to be right in here. Whoop. Let's get that one behind. I love these little ghost ribbons. These are all new for this year. And then, of course, the dimensions for the Deco mesh is 18 pieces at 20 inches in length. So there's a recap of all the materials. Purple. And then green. And green. Okay, that is set. I put the covers on these because I have been known to knock them off, which would not be fun picking them up. So storing them all in like anything that stacks. So like all of my scatters and fillers, like they're all in like, what do you call them? Like the Glad containers so that they stack. And stacking is good because it saves space. And then having them kind of clear in color allows you to see what are the colors. So we're going to add our ghost in, which you can get from Craft Outlet if they have any left. I'm going to position his body a little bit low. I want to trim off the tag right here because nobody wants to see the tag on your ghost. We're going to put him a little on the high side. So I'm taking his point and kind of putting it right in here, but I'm just positioning everything before I attach. We're putting his arms in between, and that's going to kind of go a little further. So he has a whole bunch of different hangers. So what I like to do is just make sure these are twist on nice and tight so that they don't move. Like this one's not really twisted at all. So this way they don't slide out from underneath the little ghost. And that one here. This way everything stays in place where you place it. So I'm putting in the top half before the bottom half. I'm getting his head up in here. So I'm going to start with the farthest piece that needs to go in so that I'm at least certain that I can hit the frame. And these are pretty narrow. Like there's not an awful lot of space in them. So I'm just kind of pushing his head down where I want it to go. Push that up. Kind of have that coming up in between. This one's over here. I'm going to go ahead and get his body because we've got two down here. So these are going to go down into his into the frame. This way he won't pop up. You know, like a good gust of wind will pull him in one general direction. We don't want him to pop up. And we want him nice and snug, believe it or not. So there's that one. I'm going to go ahead and put in his other top. And I'm just securing these down to the frame. Pushing him down. Kind of like he came up out of the hole in the middle. Then his arms. I want to make sure his arms are going in between my ribbon tails. There's one. And there's so many fun things that you can do with their arms. You can, you know, glue a sign on. He could have, you know, a little trick-or-treat bag in there. Just kind of, you know, play to your imagination. So this one just has a lot of attachment pieces. So I'm just securing them where I want them to stay. Always making sure that you are sticking it in between the wires so it has something to attach it to. So there is that. And now we're going to attach his little lower half. So that is kind of going to go, I'm looking at like what am I working around here. Right about there. And we're only attaching the top two. Now these top two are not twisted, so I'm just going to twist them. And these are very thick wires because this would allow you to maneuver the lower half of his body if you wanted to, but I just want to make sure they don't pull out. And then we're going to angle them back down so that when we go and plop him inside, right in there, he's kind of going in between, just like so. I want to make sure I can get that in. And these ones are a lot stiffer. I like the ones on the top half because they're a lot more pliable. I'm just going to bend that until I get the other one in. Trying to find my frame. Okay. Just like so. So we have a gap in the middle, which is exactly what we want. You don't have to have a gap in the middle if you don't want to. I like it because I like him to feel like there's more there than what there is. And then what we're going to do with our sign is we're going to take our sign and we're going to use the sign. The sign is actually covering his little gap, just like that. So this is what it will look like when it's finished. So obviously we're going to be poking holes in either side. We don't want to be pulling our frame down so that we get a bend in it, just enough to secure it. So let's go ahead and use our metal hole punch. So right there, I'm just kind of putting that in the end of my sign. We're going to use our floral wire because we're dealing with that drift mesh, which is really, it can be challenging to put a pipe cleaner through because it's going to get hung up on the little cotton threads. Just like so. And you can make it a little female ghost. You can put a bow in her hair if you want. You know, you can make a small little hand-tied bow and put it in her little, how she has that little curl in the top. So once I go ahead and feed this through, I want to even that up. So I'm going to tie this right over the hole because I don't want the wire to be seen from the top. So I don't want it out to the side. So right in the center. Make sure we have more than enough. Build it over this hole. We're going to attach a card should the customer need to know where they got that from. We want to make sure it is the right way. So business card right to the back. And plop that right down. Okay, now we are ready to secure the sign right over our ghost. And you can see how this is so full. You don't need to add a bow, but if, let's say for example, you didn't have the sign, but you like the ghost and you want something else. I have done this in the past where I make a giant bow and I put the bow right here in the center, and then that also fills that gap and makes it look like the ghost is a little longer than really what he is. So a couple different techniques you can try. And I'm going to pull this all the way over. And right there is about the depth that I want to make sure my sign stays at. Go to the other side. And we want to make sure we're hitting our base. There's one. I missed it. There we go. And then we're gonna snug that down just a touch. Not enough to bow it, just enough to make it snug. Okay, and then you just readjust him. Fix all of your bows as you were getting him all ready to be situated in here. This is where I was saying if you wanted to make it a female ghost, you could add a small little bow in here, like, let me show you. And I'm probably going to include that for the customer if they decide they want to put one in. They can. Let's make an adorable, cute little bow using that same squiggle ribbon. So we're going to create a small little hand-tied bow. So dovetailing the edges, we're going to fold those and we're going to cut from the folded side down to our wired point. And then I'm going to go in, I'm going to do this one about 6, maybe about 5 inches. I'm going to show you one of 2 ways of doing this. So I'm going to cut one 10 inches, just like this, because I've seen a lot of people make their bows like this lately. I'm not a fan. But it's like a little bow tie bow where you could do a whole bunch of cute little bows, and you can just tie it like that, and she could be a cute little female ghost like that. You know, you can add a couple more pieces to it, like, let's give this customer a lot of options for decorating. I'm going to pull the same color in a gingham plaid. So let's do the same thing. We're doing a 10-inch. So I'm going to show you how to do a simple bow. I'm going to grab my kid scissors. And we're going to dovetail that one again. So there's that one, and let's do little spiders because there's a spider on the sign. So 10 inches, dovetail both ends. Then take all these out because this drives me crazy. You can take this, you can place this in there. Let's see. Let's do it this way. And then let's scrunch. This is going to be way too big of a bow. But you could do something like that and she could have a cute little adorable bow. Let me do a twist tie on that so that they could twist tie that on. You can just add a dab of glue and glue that on. And then of course, you know, fan that out. So there's one bow option, or we can do what I was originally going to do and just do a quick hand tie little loop. So I said 5 inches in. I'm going to make a cute little loop. Let's see about how big that is. 5 inches. So 5 inches again. And then 5 inches again. And I feel like it needs to be right here. Black pipe cleaner. So I just did 5 inches, 5 inches, 5 inches. Bring my ribbon tails down. I'm gonna make this one just a touch shorter. And then she would have a cute little bow. Like, I like this look a little bit better than the other, but you have 2 different options. So if you wanted to, you could add that right around her cute little curly key right here on top. Oops. I'm trying to twist it around her little curly cue. Tuck that back down. And then she's a little female ghost. So whichever way you want to do it, you can do it a ton of different ways. So I will include both bows in this that you can adorn it if you want, however you want to adorn it. Choice is up to you. Let's go ahead and put this on the door so you can see size-wise exactly how big this is. And I'll leave her hair bow in for now. So let me pivot you up. Hello. Just making sure you can see the door. Right about there. Okay. This one's coming down. And this one's going up. So here is our ghost. You could have it go to the side. You can have it straight up and down. Of course, if we go, you need to get it right on my hook. You want to fix all your bows. I tell you this all the time before you take your photos. I know you're in excitement, you know, to get it posted, but take the time to go through, touch each one, you know, make sure that we can see everything that's on there. Make sure your loops are all opened and fastened. There we go. And there you are. There is the Ghost Wreath. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on it for you guys so you can see that a little bit better. Do you have any questions for you or for me that I can possibly answer for you? Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl says, I love it. Pam says, so cute. Cheryl says, it looks perfect on the black door. Yeah, it's so funny how certain wreath designs will definitely pop. I will have this available on my website. Give it about an hour or so. And then if you're interested in it, just go to KatsCreationsNMore.com and you can purchase it there. That's really all I have. I will give you an update as far as like when the live is going to be this week. Because the schedule shift is happening because I totally forgot my daughter. I like put the schedule out ahead of time and then she told me she's coming. So now I'm just shifting things around. Pam's funny. She asked, how big is my shop? I want to say it's like almost 1,000 square feet. So it's like one large rectangle. So it goes further that way. And then I have a length this way. And that's where everything is at. How much is my space and how much is my personal space? This whole thing is my shop space. So I guess if you were looking for personal space, just the refrigerator that holds the drinks for when it gets way too hot out here, that would be like personal. Everything else is all business related. So that's pretty much it. All right, everyone. Well, I hope to talk to you soon this week. Hope you enjoyed this design. If you loved it, make sure you share it. And I will talk to you all soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.